I want to talk a little bit about circular breathing. Circular breathing was, at first to me, was certainly something that I didn't get right away in my playing career, and I certainly wasn't taught anything about it when I was a kid taking lessons. I mean, if they weren't going to tell me how to get my chops right, they certainly weren't going to be telling me about circular breathing. For one thing, they wouldn't be able to do it. At some point, I became aware that, I mean, some people could do it. Like an example that comes to mind is Harry Carney with Duke Ellington's band on TV on baritone sax. I don't remember what the name of the chart was they were playing, but Harry Carney, was holding one note like a pedal tone through the entire chart. So obviously he knew how to circular breathe. And it was something that I certainly couldn't do. Although at some point, like I said, I realized that it was not some kind of superhuman thing, but it was, some people could do it, and it was certainly learnable and maybe teachable even. But I hadn't been taught yet. Maybe 20 years or so goes by, and in the late 80s, when I was still living in California and working ships, I came across a book by Bill Watrous, and he described different techniques that he could do, including circular breathing and also doodle tonguing, which he was a master at both of them. And I could do neither. I could not do either one. Both of them were mysterious to me. But he had a pretty concise explanation of how to do both of them. Even other musicians I knew how to do it. So the whole idea, of course, is that you're going to use your cheeks as sort of like reservoirs, or sort of like a spare set of lungs, so that while you're taking air in through your nose into your lungs and your diaphragm, you're going to push out through your chops the stored air that you have inside your cheeks, thus like that. So somebody told me like a preparatory exercise that you could do, sort of like an intermediate step from not being able to do it at all to learning how to do it. Somebody told me about, like, you get a glass of water and a straw, and you blow through the straw and make the bubbles in the water, and then the whole idea is to keep those bubbles going as you're taking air in through your nose into your lungs. I don't know if you can see any of this, but that's the whole idea. And then to get to the point where you don't need the prop anymore like that, and then transferring that into the horn like that. So another guy, musician that I knew that could do it, he played a lot of different instruments. His name was Larry Easter. His main instrument was woodwinds. He also played didgeridoo. And of course, that's all about circular breathing. And he told me, when you're learning how to do it, like, the main objective is just keep the sound going. And it's going to sound bad at first, but he says, like, in other words, you just be willing to sacrifice your sound and let the pitch go, wherever it's going to go, but just keep that note going somehow. It'll sound something like this. It'll sound, and then the whole idea, of course, is that you keep working on it and improve over time. So that was sort of a turning point for me. That like I said, this all kind of came together with when I got Watrous' book. And so I just want to demonstrate another, like, this is something you can kind of do a little bit, like it's a fast warm up or something. And a lot of times I'll have if I'm in a rehearsal or something like that, I'll have some kind of a practice mute in. And this is like, let's say, cold. I'm maybe I haven't even played yet in that day, and the horn might be cold from coming out of the car or whatever. Okay, you can like start. And then play whatever you want to do. I can't tongue and circular breathe at the same time, and I really don't do a whole lot of circular breathing on the trumpet yet because I don't always know what's going to come out. But well, another reason why I brought this up not only is to maybe explain just how to do it if you can't do it. I think you get some fringe benefits by however you might incorporate it into your playing. I mean, certainly, the fact that you can hold out phrases longer, and if you run out of gas, on a phrase, you might be able to extend the phrase by circular breathing. I can't do it like at extremes in the range. Like I can't do it on high notes so much, or like low F or something. I'm going to lose the pitch. But as long as I'm somewhere in the middle of the horn, I can do it. And by doing that, Doc Reinhardt used to talk about as a practice procedure, sometimes letting your cheeks puff out. In other words, if you don't play that way naturally, you can still let your cheeks puff out sometimes as a practice procedure, and that's just to maybe help release some tension that might be in your chops. And you know back to getting, Reinhardt called them the four legs. Roy talked about like the platform, or the the flat table where you're going to try to land on your top. So by letting your cheeks go a little bit, it kind of loosens things up in here. And you can kind of work, in case you maybe got some bad habits going, or some tension or something. Sometimes you get a little bit off, and maybe you could do that as sort of a a corrective procedure or a practice procedure.